Full Circle Fitness is brought to you by Circle Health Complete Connected Care.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Major, and I want to welcome you to Eat Your Blues Away. This is the first in a series of programs designed to help you feel better mentally and physically just by changing how you eat. I did it, and you can do it too. I cured myself of decades of debilitating depression, and along the way, I lost 20 pounds without trying to diet. So while I'm not a doctor, and I can't say I can cure you, I can tell you I cured myself, and I can share with you how I did it, that it may help you too. And that's my goal. So how do I come to sit here and talk to you today? Well, with everything that I've gone through and learned, I went back to school and I became a certified nutrition and wellness consultant. I also have a degree in education from Boston University, and I've been a full-time residential realtor for 30 years. Everything that I've done for the past few decades comes from the point of teaching. I've learned that people make better decisions when they have more information, when they understand what their choices are. So I want to help you today find out that you have a few more choices than you might think you have. I maintain an active blog at thinstronghealthy.com where I post up-to-the-minute tips and information on healthy eating, and I also share some delicious recipes that I've developed over the past few years during my own healthy eating journey. If you think you can't cook, I was the queen of can't cook, and I am not making that up just to make you feel better. I was known in my household as Cheryl Burns the Beans, and I did that a few times, story for another time. But that's my way of saying, if I can do it, you can do it. I changed my life and how I feel, and you can do it too. Today, I want you to understand how powerful you are. You have much more control over how you feel and how healthy you are than you may even begin to believe. You have great power to change how you feel mentally and physically. Eating well is a subversive activity in our society, in our eating revolution here. Taking back your health is the best revenge against the processed food industries who've really hijacked your health with all of their preservatives and additives and all of the things that we shouldn't be eating that we have in our food. We don't have a choice if we're going to eat something that's processed. I also want you to understand it's not your fault that you crave foods you know you shouldn't have. Processed food has been designed and engineered in labs to be addictive, so you crave it, and so you can't get enough. It's not your fault if you can't lose weight. It's not your fault if you can't lose weight. I want to say that again. It's not your fault if you're struggling with health issues like depression, like I was, like high blood sugar, type 2 diabetes. Knowledge is power, and once you understand what the processed food industry has done to manipulate you, you'll realize that you have the power to change your life, your weight, and your health. You can make good choices. You can make food choices to feel better and to be healthier rather than to be sick. Although what has been done to you is not your fault, once you have this information, it becomes your responsibility. You have the information to make good choices good food choices for yourself and your family. So how did I come from another point of view here to talk to you today? Well, I've had some health challenges in my life along the way, and they were pretty significant. I was diagnosed as being hypoglycemic, actually severely hypoglycemic, when I was 28 years old. Now, hypoglycemia is low blood sugar. It's kind of the opposite of diabetes. It means that your pancreas works too hard to secrete too much insulin and drops your blood sugar really low. And that made me feel shaky. It made me feel like I was going to pass out. But what I did was I would go and I would reach for a muffin, I would go for fruit juice, and I made bad choices because I didn't understand what I should be doing. And the muffin, which is quickly assimilated and translated into sugar, and the fruit juice, with it, which is sugar, would bump my blood sugar levels up, made me feel better for a while, and then it would drop them right down again. So I would be on this roller coaster. I was also told that I was at risk of becoming diabetic because when you're hypoglycemic and your pancreas is working too hard, if you don't do something to solve that, your pancreas can get exhausted, then it stops working, bingo, you become diabetic. So I was pretty scared. What else brings me here today? I struggled with depression. And it colored my life for decades. Being depressed is a lot of work when you're trying to fool the world. And I'll tell you, the past tense, it feels so good to say, I struggled with depression. I remember becoming depressed when I was 12 years old. I started crying for no reason. Nobody could seem to figure out what was going on with me. And I was on and off antidepressants for quite a few times. So it colored my life. It really affected me in many ways. Now, fast forward to 2012, my husband, Rob, who really was the catalyst for this whole change that changed my life quite by accident, he had been on statins for many years, mega doses of statins, because of a history of high cholesterol and heart disease in his family. And as I'm sure many of you know, and I know a lot of you listening to this are on statins, 80 milligrams a day for 7 years, that's a lot of statins to be taking. That's the highest dosage. Now, we were in California. We had gone out there for a relative's wedding, and he'd been having strange symptoms for a while. He'd been having neuropathy, which is pain in your muscle tissue. It's not pain that you can touch. It's not on your skin. It's not in your stomach. He had it in the muscle tissue of his stomach, so that was disquieting. He had muscle weakness. He had rising blood sugar levels to the point where he was told he was borderline diabetic. He had to check his blood sugar levels twice a day. We were scared. He had eye problems. He was told he was at risk for glaucoma because of rising pressure. He also looked like he was getting cataracts. He had terrible nightmares. He had brain fog. He was having cognitive difficulties. He was having difficulty learning and assimilating information. His short-term memory was getting a little sketchy, and he was getting debilitating waves of depression and hopelessness. And we just didn't know what was going on with him. We thought we were eating well at the time. We had gone on the low-fat, no-fat bandwagon, and so we were, I say we drank the no-fat, low-fat Kool-Aid. We thought we were doing the right thing, but I want to mention that when they started all this low-fat, no-fat stuff, there's a lot of flavor in fat. So they take the fat out of the food. They're also taking the flavor out of the food. So what did processed food companies do to replace that flavor? Well, they added more salt. They added more sugar. So not healthy, not healthy. Also, you need healthy fat to maintain a healthy brain. We'll get into this whole thing down the road, but we were on the low-fat, no-fat bandwagon. We also were eating a lot of processed food. We were eating soy substitutes. Instead of eating bacon, we were eating soy bacon. Instead of sausages, we were eating soy sausages. We stopped eating meat when Rob found out he had cholesterol issues, and that was a long time ago. So we were trying to reduce our fat and reduce our cholesterol, but we didn't understand the difference between good and bad fats. So we'll talk about that. For sugar and sweeteners, we were eating stevia, we were using maple syrup, we were using honey, We were trying to eat whole grains. And I just want to, as an aside here, I want to talk a little bit about breaking the cycle of addiction. What foods can you imagine not living without? And I'm going to list a few and ask yourself while we're talking about these, well, could I imagine not having these? Potato chips, cookies, pastry, pizza. Can you imagine not having those? Or is it easier for you to say, oh, I could live without carrots or kale or broccoli or sweet potatoes? I think we all know what that answer is. You think about food all the time. I think about food all the time, but now I think of different food all the time. So if you have a bad day, what food are you going to come home and want? Are you going to say, wow, I'm going to cook myself up a plate of steamed sweet potatoes and keep my blood sugar normal and eat healthy phytonutrients, whole foods? Or do you say, you know, bad day, I think I'll have a Snickers bar. I think I'll have fries and a Coke. So you have to be aware. Junk food is addictive by design. Processed food is designed in a lab. It's designed in a lab to make us crave it and to make us continually hungry for it. Let me say that again. Processed food is designed to do exactly what it does, to make you crave it and to make you want more and more of it. So it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you crave stuff you shouldn't be eating. That's how they've designed it. They've got you right where they want you. Their processed food is engineered to trigger the pleasure centers in your brain so you feel better. If you think you feel better when you have that cookie, it's because you do. You feel better, but you feel better for a short time. And then the pleasure tails off, and then you crave the cookie, you have another cookie, you feel better, the pleasure tails off. So it's a cycle. So this is what I mean when I'm talking about breaking the cycle of addiction. You need to know what's going on, where you're coming from, so that you can make choices and good decisions going forward. Now, foods I used to crave, honestly, I don't crave them anymore. I don't crave them anymore. When you begin to make healthy choices, the cravings actually go away. And when I sat down to write this for you, to share this with you, I had to stop and think, what did I used to crave? Because I don't have those cravings. I've really leveled off. So be assured you can break the cycle of addiction. You don't have a chance unless you take a stand for yourself. You have to advocate for yourself because you're bombarded with ads for junk food and processed food all the time. All the time. You're surrounded by it. So if you continue to eat processed and junk food, what can you expect? Well, you can expect to continue to gain weight. This country is in the middle of an obesity epidemic. And you can expect, if you continue to eat the way a lot of us eat with the processed food, to continue to gain weight. What else can you expect? Well, you can expect high glucose or high blood sugar levels, pre-diabetes or full-blown diabetes. The foods that are processed are loaded with sugar, and it's not just called sugar, it's called high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, maltodextrin, honey, maple syrup, cane sugar. It has so many different names. What else can you expect? Well, with your increased weight from eating this way, you can expect joint pain. For every pound of weight that you carry, that puts an extra 3 times that pound of pressure on your joints, on your hips, on your knees, on your feet. So if you're carrying an extra 10 pounds of weight, you're putting an extra 30 pounds of pressure on your hips, knees, joints, feet. So if you find you're shuffling through the grocery store, leaning on that cart, just be aware of why. It's because that 10 pounds is not just 10 pounds of pressure. It's more than that. It's 30 extra pounds. You can also expect bad skin tone, bad skin color. You can anticipate a lack of energy and mental focus. When you change how you eat and you eat to be well, you can be more productive, you can have more energy, you can just be a happier person. And I want to be totally transparent about this. When I was depressed and before I changed how I ate, I tried so hard not to be depressed. And it's a lot of work when you're depressed and you're struggling to fool the world and try to make them believe that you're not depressed. I'm a happy person now, and I cannot tell you. I was depressed for 50 years. 50 years I struggled with depression. I'm a happy person now. It's an amazing difference. And I want to share another thing with you. Did you know that in this country, women over 40, over 20% of us are on some sort of prescription antidepressant for depression or to help control anxiety. If you're over 40 and you're on an antidepressant, you are a statistic, and it doesn't have to be that way. You can eat to feel better. I'm on a mission. I'm on such a mission because I've transformed my life so incredibly that I have to share this with you. I have to convey, if I get anything across, I want you to know you have the power to change your life. And I'm here to share how I did it, that you can try some of these things and start to feel better. And then it reinforces that you're on a good road and you'll do more and you'll feel better. Let's talk a little bit about belly fat. There's a lot of discussion about belly fat, also visceral fat. Now, belly fat is the fat that you see. When you've got a stomach that sticks out, that's your belly fat. So what's visceral fat? Well, visceral fat is the fat on the inside. And I think when you look down and you see that you've got a bit of a stomach, you might think that the inside is flat, and it's just a flat end on the inside, so it's round. It's like a half sphere. But that's not true. It's a sphere. So if you've got that fat on the inside, you've got the fat. If you've got the fat on the outside, you've got the fat on the inside, and it's pressing against your organs. And it's not good. It surrounds them, and it puts pressure on your organs. Poor eating choices, they also cause inflammation. Inflammation in your body can cause from mild annoyances to really bad damage. Inflammation is now believed to be the root cause of most disease and also of premature aging. So you want to eat to reduce inflammation in your body as well. It causes the production of cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. And cortisol regulates many of the changes that occur in the body in response to stress, including blood sugar levels, fat, protein, and carbohydrate metabolism to maintain blood glucose, and immune responses, belly and visceral fat. So you want to keep your cortisol production down. That means you want to reduce your inflammation by reducing the foods you eat that contribute to inflammation. So back to Rob and me. We had this aha. We said, okay, we need to get him off the statins, because when we got back from California, we read the mice type. We did some research, we went online, and we said, okay, the only medication he was on was statins. He was on Lipitor. As I said, 80 milligrams for 7 years. 80 milligrams a day for 7 years. So we read the mice type, and if you're on any prescription drugs, I encourage you, don't read just the big type. Go to the little mice type and read all the things that can possibly happen, because when we did this with him, we went check, 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 check with all of his symptoms. So it became clear to us that his health issues and his health complaints were due to bad reactions to all the Lipitor he had been taking for so long. So we knew we had to get him off the Lipitor. So this presented two challenges for us. We had to get his cholesterol normalized. We had to get his blood sugar normalized. So we started to do research, and we started to do what we called cleaning up our act. We purged our pantry of all processed food. We cleaned out our refrigerator of all processed food. We cleaned out our freezer, and we thought we just shut the door, and we just did it. And for where we were then, that is what we did. But as we read more and we learned more, and we experimented with food, we realized that it was an ongoing learning process. And it continues to this day. But what happened to us was amazing. In fact, it was nothing short of a miracle. As I mentioned, my depression, gone. And I want to share a story with you that was illustrative for Rob and me of how far I had come. It was about 6 months after we had started our own healthy eating revolution. And I was in the middle of doing something that was personally very difficult. I was in the process of packing up and selling my family home where I had grown up. My parents had both passed away, and it was something that I didn't want to do. I so did not want to do this, but it had to be done. And Rob and I kept waiting for me to be a depressed mess and just completely implode. And it didn't happen. This was 6 months into changing how we eat. And what we realized was that somehow the difference in me was affected by the difference in what we were eating. Don't get me wrong, this was hard for me, and I was sad, but I was appropriately sad. I was a little teary sometimes, and yeah, I was sad. Life makes you sad sometimes, and those of you who are depressed know that there's a difference between being depressed and being sad, being appropriately sad. And I soldiered on. I was okay. And this was a huge aha for us. We kind of looked at each other and said, wow, I'm okay. I'm not happy. This is not the best, not my favorite thing to do. And, I wish I didn't have to do it. But I wasn't a depressed mess. So this was huge for me, huge. Now, as far as Rob was concerned, his symptoms started to go away. He had normal blood sugar levels. His cholesterol normalized. His HDL, or good cholesterol, went up. His LDL, or his bad cholesterol, went down. He had a whole battery of tests. Sugar was perfect. His A1C, which is a measure of sugar of your blood sugar levels over several months, perfect. Cholesterol, perfect. His CRP, or C-reactive protein, which is a measure of inflammation in his body, perfect. So he was off statins, he was completely off statins, and we still got this wonderful news with his tests. He had been off statins for probably about 2 years when he went back, and we had these awesome, awesome results. And we didn't know if his cholesterol was going to be okay, if his blood sugar was going to be okay. It was an amazing, amazing experience. Now, I have to share with you, don't diet. Please don't diet. I am so not a fan of dieting. You shouldn't be paying somebody to go weigh in. You shouldn't be paying somebody to deliver food to your door. You should take that money and learn how to shop for good food and how to make good food, and have this be not a diet, but a lifestyle. A lifestyle. You don't have to diet. The word diet screams deprivation and misery. I'm sure there are many of you out there who've experienced the yo-yo diet phenomenon. You lose weight, you gain it back. You lose weight, you gain it back. You lose weight, you gain it back again. You know what I'm talking about. And the fact is that when you lose and gain, it actually becomes harder for your body to let go of that weight. It becomes harder for you to lose weight. Your brain gets the message that your body is starving when you keep losing and gaining and losing and gaining. So it hangs on to that weight. So the lose-gain thing, you're making your weight loss efforts even more difficult. Now, there are different schools of thought on changing how you eat. There's cold turkey. Do I stop all at once? Do I do gradually toward a new way of eating? But however you choose to do it, never go on a diet, not a crash diet or a diet of any kind. It's not good for you. So how do you begin to truly change how you eat? Where do you start? Well, do like we did. Purge your pantry, your refrigerator, your freezer. Get rid of all processed foods. Get rid of everything in a box. Get rid of anything with more than 5 ingredients. Get rid of stuff with ingredients you don't understand, things that sound like chemicals. Just get it out of there. And I want to talk for a minute about portion control too. I did this, I kind of played a trick with my mind when I started this, because I decided to eat less for breakfast. And so I reduced my portions, but they were still on a big plate. So you look at it and you say, kind of a weeny little breakfast. And it was not the best feeling. So I went out and I bought plates, new plates, smaller plates, and they were the same color. But what they did was they made my new adjusted portions look amazing. So visually, you have to play games with yourself sometimes. Also, one of my favorite healthy eating gurus, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, the salad is the main dish. Make a big salad. the main focal point, the star of your dinner should be a salad. Greens, vegetables, you can put some fruit, roasted nuts, roasted beets, put olives, chop off some olives. Be creative, throw all kinds of stuff on there. That should be your main dish. There are ways to make food delicious and good for you. Now, there's a sign at my doctor's office which has 3 things that you should memorize and live by. First of all, never eat anything with more than 5 ingredients. Never eat anything your grandmother wouldn't recognize as food, and never eat anything that won't eventually rot. Now, a good place to start, be aware of the food that you buy. I'm going to post this on my website, but if you go to ewg.org, Environmental Working Group, they have a list of the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, and that's a great place to start. Those are lists of the clean, conventional fruits and vegetables that you can buy without worrying about them being loaded with pesticides. And it also gives you the Dirty Dozen, and those are the ones that you really should be buying organic. And I practice this myself because I know people say, oh, organic's so expensive. Well, if you know what you should be buying organic and what you can buy not organic, that will help you control your food costs too. Now, this is important. Stick to the perimeter of the grocery store. Stick to the outside. That's where your fresh produce is, your whole foods. Avoid the inside aisles. That's where you're going to find your cookies, your chips, your processed foods, your cake mixes that you want to avoid. Stick to the outside perimeter. You'll shop with new eyes the next time you go to the grocery store. You'll be able to make good choices, informed choices. Now you're armed with the information so that you can make healthy decisions when you go to buy food. And the processed food industry doesn't want you to know this. You now have the information you need to choose to eat differently. You can eat to be well rather than eat to be sick. Our bodies are designed to heal themselves, so stop messing with your wonderful machine. Don't buy junk food. Don't have it in the house. If it's there, you'll eat it. Remember, that's how they've designed it. Instead, buy fresh, whole food. You won't always feel hungry if you feel this way either. The cravings will stop. Your hunger hormones will normalize. And they'll work to do their job. They will tell you when you're full and when to stop eating, and you'll stop craving food you know you shouldn't eat when you start eating this way. Now again, my blog is thinstronghealthy.com. I have recipes there. I have a list of reference books. I have timely articles and up-to-the-minute information, and you're welcome to go there anytime. I post regularly. I'm always working on new recipes and trying to take recipes that are familiar but conventional and convert those. Maybe use a different flour. Maybe make them so that there's not sugar there. I've got a great chocolate coconut cookie recipe, that's kind of hard to say, there that I hope you'll try. I have a bread substitute for those of you who are trying to stay off gluten but still want to eat a little bread. It's called Soka, and it's got great stuff in it. It's easy to make, so I hope you'll check that out. Please email me if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know if you have any subjects you'd like me to cover. A lot of the talks that I give, my ideas for my next talk come from my audience. So you're welcome to email me at any time. My email is cheryl@thinstronghealthy.com. This has been the first program in Eat Your Blues Away. I'm Cheryl Major. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I greatly appreciate it.
The preceding program was brought to you by Circle Health Complete Connected Care.